All right, amigos. So now it's time for the super big main event here. And I'm actually surprised there wasn't another match in the 0 hour to kind of make up for this one. Because, yeah, it's a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship, which is Daniel Bryanson going up against none other than, let me see here, MJF for the title and see how that goes. And, yeah, it was a pretty intense match. It was pretty crazy. The part I like is that, well, first of all, they went a good 10, 20 minutes or so without no one pinning no one yet. So it was kind of like, oh, damn. We were thinking it was going to be one of those, like I was going to get to the point that whoever does the first pin will win. Um, what's his face? Daniel American Dragon got the whatever it's called, Berserker knee or whatever on MJF and got the first pin. So oh shit. But then the surprising part was that MJF kicked him in the balls, which got which causes a disqualification. So that kind of went towards then Bryanson, whatever his name is, American Dragon. I'm gonna call him American Dragon because I'm sick of the name thing. American Dragon got a point due to that. But the thing is, since he was still hurt from getting his balls busted, MJF went for a pin. 1, 2, 3. That's one. Pinned him again. 1, 2, 3. That's two. He almost went for a third, but he kicked out of that. But I was like, damn. So like within seconds of no one pinning no one, we had they were tied 2-2. It was pretty crazy. But it got crazy, it got intense. Let me see here, because they actually listed the submissions. MJF actually got the lead. He got to pin him again after getting a heat seeker on him. Bryanson actually got MJF to tap to the Regal stretch, which is kind of cool. Homage there to William Regal and everything. And yeah, so in the end, it was kind of like a tie, and it was like a draw, and it was kind of like, due to this being a draw, MJF retains the title and whatever. And I still thought something was up, because if he won and all that stuff, why were they not playing the theme music? They would usually, just play the theme music the moment he won, because the match was over and all that. And then, of course, they announced Tony Schiavone, come on down, tell him. And it's like, yeah, Tony Concepto, so it'll be sudden death and whatever. And it's so weird because I just saw that, that would have just been a thing. I don't know why you even went for the weird fake out. Just do it, sudden death right off the bat, but whatever. So they went after it one more time. They fought. And in the end, MJF is still the champion. And I think that yeah, I kind of had a feeling he was going to retain, because, I don't know. Daniel Bryan doesn't even want to be champ, to be honest. He just wants to keep wrestling and keep fighting all these different people and elevating people and stuff like that and everything. But yeah, pretty good match. Oh, and one thing I also liked is that it was like it kept our interest throughout the whole match, because sometimes these 60-minute things kind of get drawn out, kind of boring, but somehow they did it in such a way that between Wendy and I watching, we were really we were into it the whole time. You know what I mean? We weren't bored or checking our watches or whatever. So kudos to them doing it in a way that it kept us, invested during the entire 60 minutes and overtime,
Yeah, it was a pretty good match. I will admit it was high paced for a good solid hour, which was something that really surprised me. I thought it was gonna have some moments of just relative, just damn near dead stop, slow down, but it really didn't. It was pretty good. A lot of the pinfalls in there were actually pretty close. The one with the nut shot was pretty funny because of how MJF just, went in for the 3 count, and then right after he cleared it, he went in for it again. I always thought, in Iron Man matches like that, I'm just like, all right, if the guy's down from a finisher, why doesn't a person do this? Why do they just go for the 3 count and just let him up? It's like, no. If you got him down, let him up after the 3 count, put him back down again. And somebody finally did it, which I thought was hilarious. And I do like the fact that, they did try to hype it up and get the crowd involved after 60 minutes, because you heard the crowd just yell, "This is bullshit. This is bullshit." I had a feeling that something like that was going to happen. And then when they said, all right, the last one's going to be sudden death, I seriously thought Bryan Danielson was gonna win it, but I just remembered MJF had just came back, so that was pretty much a done deal with it there. It was still a really good match. I'd put it underneath Kenny versus Okada's Iron Man match. Like I'd say it was right underneath that. So for me to say that, that's a pretty damn good match. So I dig it. It was good.
All right, going with that, the whole match, like Mark was saying, it kept my interest because I was expecting to get bored at some point because it's me. I was like, well, I'm gonna go take a nap now. I didn't get enough sleep last night or something, but I was like glued the entire time. I was like, oh my God, like stuff like that. That was like getting it really getting into it, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah, I was.
Yeah, we were both going crazy over the whole match.
Yeah, and then that ending. Now my thing is like, I know Johnny's going to bring it up, but the ending there, when I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to let Johnny give his opinion on that part because it kind of threw me a little bit too.
Yeah, because Johnny came in pretty heated before the podcast started. He came in pretty heated about that. We're like, whoa, wait for the podcast, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. This match did have a bit of blood in it, but like I said, this is the kind of blood I can tolerate. It just, they just happen to bleed. It's not like, hey, I'm going to go all ECW here and Terry Funk and Mick Foley, all that craziness. I mean, I can't get into that kind of stuff. But like I said, the match was good. The pacing was pretty good. I mean, they kept throwing you things like, oh my gosh, who's going to win? Who's going to get the pins? Who's going to get the pins? Oh my gosh, you're tied. Oh my gosh, hold out MJF. Hold out MJF. Come on there. You got like 10 pins. You got 10 pins. You better not tap out, That's just how I was with that. Don't you dare tap out. I just want to see what happens with a tap. A draw. That's all I wanted to know. That honestly, really witnessed many 60-minute Iron Man matches. Now that I think about it, I don't even think of like a couple I've seen, but I don't remember who was in the match. Maybe Shawn Michaels, maybe, or Bret Hart.
You're thinking of the Shawn Michaels. You're thinking of the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart match of WrestleMania 12.
That's it. That must be what I'm thinking of. I remember I saw that one. And that was all right. From the bit that
Indies, I remember there was a 60-minute Iron Man match between Tessa Blanchard and Mercedes Martinez, and then they had a big rematch where, to make it more epic, it's like now it'll be a 75-minute Iron Man match, and that was like
insane. Saw that. That was awesome.
Gosh.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about Iron Man matches in a general sense, the fact that you have to keep up that energy and stamina to keep going in the ring while also being entertaining has to be difficult to do because you have to like read the audience, and also perform for them so that they don't get bored or they don't check out. So props to both MJF and Bryan Danielson for, managing that match. Now, I will turn this over to the one, the only, the currently heated Johnny.
Okay, so for this match, first of all, I want to explain more like how good and intense the match was. I like the concept, and it's just very fun and entertaining that to have both MJF and Bryan Danielson, pinning each other like 1, 2, 3, it's like it's so awesome that they're going back and forth. And there were types of the match that got really heated and it really got really violent at a reasonable level, not to the John Moxley level of bloody combat, but it was still getting there. And the thing that kind of drew me off a little bit is like, okay, I know that MJF and Bryan Danielson, they're both knocked down, and that would technically be kind of like a tie, but I guess he still... Wait, what was it? They still declared MJF.
Yeah, it was a draw, yeah, at the time.
So in that time, I'm thinking, okay, MJF's already declared a winner. These two guys are pretty much knocked out, bleeded up, and all that kind of stuff. Like they didn't even bring like oxygen masks and stuff like that.
Yeah, they brought an oxygen tank out just for MJF, which I'm like, come on, you're overdoing it. Come on.
They're trying to basically rescue these guys because they were super like beat it up, and a part of me was thinking, okay, so Tony Shinabi, how
Yeah, remember he was only doing what Tony Khan told him to. It wasn't his decision. Tony Khan told him go down there and tell him.
Either Tony Khan, whatever, they're Tony Khan. Okay, it's just say Tony Khan's fault. This shit happened. The thing is, these guys are super bleeded up. They're super knocked out. Their health is in bad shape in that moment. And all Tony Khan cares about is like, fuck their health. They got to keep going. They got to keep fighting. So, because Tony Khan, in my point of view, I almost felt like, oh, he didn't like MJF winning the match. That's the way I felt. But he didn't like the outcome. So he's like, okay, let's keep it going to see if the other guy wins or something like that, to see what happens with the match, right? So it's kind of ridiculous that they did all that. And yes, of course, MJF so cheated, but he still won the match.
The reenactment of Tony Khan is basically like, wait, what? A draw? No, I want a winner. I want a winner. Make some death or whatever you fucking call it.
You know what oxygen tank? Fucking go. Just
say that. Oh, that reminds me. Thanks for bringing up the oxygen mask. That's how MJF won, because while the referee was like, in the position that he couldn't see it, MJF grabbed the thing and he was out of the ring. He grabbed the oxygen tank, and whenever
it just
would reach, look over the whatever, because the ref couldn't see it from that particular angle, bash him in the face with the oxygen tank and get him for the pin. I forgot all about that. Thanks for bringing it up, Johnny.
That's how he beat him. Yeah.
Yeah, and something else I think we was all address the elephant in the room. That poor child sitting at ringside by himself, his hood pulled all over his face so that he can get some tequila
that
thrown.
Was so funny. I was
It
dying laughing.
had to be a plan. It had to
be all that. I was
plan.
like, dude, what? Just grab the mama.
That mom. If that was the thing. As soon as I saw that, and the mom was like, I'm all like, oh, if that was real, that mom would have whooped his ass.
I know the match would have been over. They would have to ring the bell. The refs would have to show up when they randomly show up.
Oh hell no!
Oh no, you throw some water or whatever on my child. No, you didn't. I'm taking you down.
Not my baby, and they just smack. He's like, what the fuck?
It wouldn't have been security or refs. It would have been like real wrestlers pulling them back, and even they would have been like,
oh my god,
nah, dude, you're on your own, bro.
Anyway, back to what you're saying, Johnny. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
For real, I think a lot of wrestlers would have actually, let's just say it this way, I think a lot of class action lawsuits would be happening. Just because, just the way you get so injured, like to that level. And the fact that
I think Rikki Roxx mentioned it was 2 staged, and that even the kid was wearing like a whole bunch of extra shirts or something for that. So I mean, it has to be a plan.
If you rewatch that clip, the clip, I'll show you exactly what happened. When MJF took the lady's water, the kid was like this. He was already like anticipating. He knew it was coming.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
he was leaning over. He was leaning over with his hood on like this, and he was like, he knew it was coming. He knew.
I didn't notice that much.
I didn't catch that.
The bottom line is you could not get away with something like that without worrying about liability and being sued, especially in this country.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah,
like,
no, not even just nowadays. The fact that someone tried to sue McDonald's for making them fat. It's called fraudulent lawsuits. The fact that that is a thing. So yes, I thought it was staged to begin with because I doubt anyone could get away with attacking an audience member. You know,
I saw a picture online that said a person looking at this footage. Oh no, that poor child, wrestling fan. Fuck your kid.
take that, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, I was thinking about that clip too. I was thinking about that clip from Family Guy.
No.
Johnny,
I mean,
sorry.
It's kind of sad though. I mean, we live in a world now where you can't get away. It's 2023. You can't get away with 80s kayfabe and do some shit like that. Because, yeah, sure, back in the early 80s, you could have gotten away with murder. You could have gotten away with that smooth sailing.
You remember the DiBiase basketball thing?
Oh yeah.
99. Oh, too bad. God. And that little kid dribbling, if he could dribble 100 times and give him $1,000, and then he gets the 99 and kicks the ball.
Well, what are you saying? Like can't do the job, don't get the money or something like that?
He's like, if you can't do the job, you don't get the cash. I'm like, oh, he's such a bastard.
Or like,
anyway,
I'm
sorry. We keep interrupting Johnny. Let's let Johnny. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Oh no, but I just want to say that other than that weird outcome, I'm so glad MJF still won the match. I think that it's this gimmick. He's supposed to be all heel and trash talking, all that kind of stuff. But he actually is a good wrestler, though. Like he's really, really good. And he's really, really talented. So it's just awesome to see him get better and better each time, and that he's winning more titles and all this kind of stuff. So, despite the weird outcome, like the way he won the match, bottom line, it's so good that he won the match.
Yeah, and you're right. He is a pretty good wrestler. I think that was why they set him up with Daniel Bryanson. Daniel Bryanson doesn't mind putting people over. And then having him in an Iron Man match, which is a full hour to showcase what exactly you can do and all the shit that they've talked about MJF previously, it shows that he's made improvements since the last time he was in. It shows that he actually has some technical experience, some submission experience. Basically, this was a full-on, let's see what the hell you can do match. And it turned out perfectly. Now, the show afterwards I thought was hilarious because they're doing the press conference with him and Tony Khan, and he comes out, towel around his neck, the bloody raccoon eyes, he's sitting there eating pickles, and he's mocking CM Punk so hard with this. It was just outrageous. I freaking loved it.
So I have kind of mixed opinions about this match. First of all, I'll give credit where it's due. MJF put up a great match, which for him is saying a lot. I realized watching his matches, it's never a matter of, it's kind of the same issue I have with Cody. It's not that they can't wrestle. It's just that their style of wrestling is playing too safe. If that makes any sense. Like They do too predictable, like too obvious moves, to which I'm like, just a little changes here and there, everything would be great. It's little things that kind of bug me that he does. But okay, a lot of people loved the low blow and then the 2 pinfalls. I think that's lazy. The reason I say that's a lazy kind of move, why it's stupid, because it would have made more sense for him to do that, attempt the second pinfall, and then he kicks out. Then later in the match, he distracts the ref, maybe he gets his scarf, throws it on the ref. The ref's like, whoa, and then he hits him with the ring. Then they get a second fall. I'm like, oh, okay, he beat him 2 different ways. That way he'd also be able to use the ring. See what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. I was thinking something like that would have been make more sense. As the match itself, I think a lot of it was Bryan Danielson carrying a lot. And I mean, a lot of that match. Because there was a shitload of points where MJF was doing more crowd work than anything else. If you notice, like he was going out to the crowd, he's working them up. He's like, screw you, and like they're like, oh, come on, wrestle. And a lot of it was, heated, but it was a great back and forth. And again, for the casual, and I understand, like I said, with like Wendy and Mark and a lot of other people that are like kind of don't really like the long matches. Like I love long matches if they're done right. It's hard to keep people's attention. I get it, especially now in the TikTok age. But they did a very, very good job at doing that this match. And that's a huge accomplishment. This puts a lot of credence onto MJF as a competitor, as a talent. Would I say it's even the top 3 Iron Man matches? No. Would I say it was a good Iron Man match? Absolutely. I think it was a fun, entertaining match. I think it was probably one of the best main events AEW's had at a pay-per-view, which that's saying a lot. I would say this is one of their best pay-per-view.
It was missing sparkling barbed wire, though.
I think this is one of their best main event shows for a pay-per-view that they've had. So I don't think it's the best. I think it's one of the best. But I do think I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this. Because as I said before, the problem with MJF's character, I've said this before. Here's the whole issue. Why MJF as a champion doesn't technically work. And I figured it out. His entire character is a shit heel. And what I mean by that is he's a chicken shit every time. Every time he runs away, he has someone backing him up. He uses a weapon. He does everything he can to avoid having to wrestle. That works in a small context, but it doesn't work when you're the guy. When you're the champion, you have to defend your title. How are you going to duck and dive every competitor? It doesn't work. That's why Ted DiBiase was never the champion. Well, he was for like one day, basically. But still, like no one, like those kind of shit heel wrestlers don't ever become champions because the gimmick doesn't work. That's why like Orange Cassidy or Danhausen or guys like that are like, they're within their bubble. They're perfect. Outside of their bubble, it doesn't really work. So MJF, in order to progress further as champion, would have to stop being the shit heel. He would have to be something similar to, I know he's my favorite wrestler, but similar to a Jay White, how when Jay White was a villain, or even Kenny Omega was a villain, he talked a lot of crap, and he didn't want to wrestle, but when push came to shove, he would. And I think MJF has to be like that. And then after he beats them, however he beats them, he then brags about what he does. Like that's kind of the villain he's got to be. Because the villain that he is now...
Well, the thing about MJF, though... Well, about him, though, so you have to remember that he always has, like, this fucking gauntlet. You can't ever fight him. You always got to fight through 5 or 6 other guys. And if you beat those 5 or 6 other guys, plus stipulations, plus, of course, the person getting, more and more worn down, then you could fight MJF. So, I mean, he kind of sort of does that.
Right. But it's different with like, okay, that's exactly feeding into what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who has to compete with him has to go through the gauntlet in order to even get close to him because he's afraid to fight. And he's afraid to fight anyone who's a threat to him. So how can you make that guy your top guy? Think about it. Yeah. It's like giving the highest promotion in a company to a guy who's only there 3 days a week.
Brock Lesnar.
Or a guy who's only there 3 days a month is more like it. Like that's
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, exactly. And what happened when that happened? Everyone was pissed.
I remember.
Everyone hated it.
I get what they were going for. They were trying to make it like, Brock Lesnar doesn't just defend the title at any event. He only does it for like
Yeah.
the real big ones like
Right.
WrestleMania and SummerSlam because coming to
Yeah.
see him is an event. But yeah,
Like, no.
no one liked it. No one liked it.
But the thing of it is like the difference is with MJF, no one's saying he has to defend his title every week, but he should at least have to compete on a regular basis, but he doesn't even do that. So it's like, it's kind of bullshit because like even before he was champion, he wouldn't fight on a regular basis. So it's like, wait a minute, how are you going to make that guy the top guy and the top champion? Because when you're the top champion of a company, it's saying not only is he the guy, he's the top guy in our entire industry and in our entire company that represents us. How could you be that guy if you're never wrestling in a wrestling company for a promotion?
Yeah,
It
what do you
doesn't
think
make
this
any
is?
sense.
WWE?
Exactly. But going back to what I was saying, he did a shitload of good route. He did a shitload in this match. A lot of crowd work, a lot of, obviously gimmick stuff. The ending, I agree with you, Johnny. It pissed me the hell off so much because as soon as he came out with the oxygen tank, I'm like, that's what it's going to be. That's Chekhov's gun right there. Because you wouldn't bring out an oxygen tank. You bring out like ice packs.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him, like, that's Chekhov's gun. I know that. Like, why would you randomly have an oxygen tank? And also, why would you only give it to MJF and not to Bryan Danielson?
Yeah, because fuck Bryanson.
Because then it would have been funny because then you could have had two. You could have had like two dual wielding oxygen tanks. No. And then an explosion and they all died. The end. No, I'm kidding.
Did you already go, William?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Well, show's almost over, guys. Let me get some oxygen.
no, jeez. Okay, guys. So one thing I do want to mention right now before we go through final thoughts and things is that as you guys are watching this right now, because obviously I'm posting the pic as you guys are listening, we got a real awesome pic here of Rikki Roxx hanging out with none other than The Undertaker. He's at that con right now, and it was kind of crazy because apparently he was waiting like 90 minutes in line with, everybody else, and then like they were a couple of feet away from him, and for whatever reason, they got most of the people back to the end of the line again, and he said even the staff was confused, so he was kind of, well, obviously him and I'm assuming everyone else was kind of pissed. He got to wait all over again. Luckily, it was not 90 minutes, a second 90 minutes, you know what I mean? But like I said, as you guys are hearing me speak right now, you should be seeing this photo of Rikki Roxx hanging out with the legendary Undertaker. And that's fucking badass, yo. Damn, that's all. I don't want to know how much he paid for that shit. That's DJF money right there. Which, by the way, we never got to find out like how much money he paid to sit next to Soraya's brother at that pay-per-view. Like, I'm like, how much did those seats cost, yo? That was crazy. But overall thoughts, I like the pay-per-view, was pretty cool. And I think Wendy and I were kind of agreeing. There was kind of like it was almost a 10 out of 10. The only thing that kind of dragged it a bit was just the Samoa Joe and Wardlow match. And like, the gun, that big match with the guns, like, like, I mean, it wasn't a bad one, but we could have done with, like, it wasn't either or, you know what I mean? We could have done without it. It's not so bad, but But all the other matches, like the Hangman match and the women's match and the Iron Man match, all that shit just got us like edge of our seats watching and don't cheat your runners everywhere. It was like, it was exciting. It was awesome.
Yeah, overall it was a great pay-per-view show. Like I said, give or take the one or two matches. Like I said, the Guns and Danhausen match would have been a lot better if they would have just gotten rid of the two vets and just let it go off the rails. Just like let it just turn into an all-out banger and just face the consequences later. But overall, it was still a really decent pay-per-view. I'd definitely watch it again if I had the chance. Actually, I do have the chance. I think I might do that tonight. So, yeah, it was a good match. I mean, it was a good pay-per-view. All in all, I'd say I'd probably give it probably 8 out of 10.
Mm.
Alrighty, my overall thoughts. I think that's like my second AEW pay-per-view. I think no,
Oh, yeah,
wait,
that's
my
right.
third. No, my third because I watched the very first one like back in what 2018. That one it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't remember what I saw.
They've been around for so long. Everyone's like, oh, they'll be dead in 3 years. But I mean, they're still hanging in there, you know?
Yeah, they're holding hanging in there, but yeah, there were some things that did bug me. Like I said, the Samoa Joe match was kind of. I still wish Danhausen and Orange Cassidy would have won that tag team match. I think they need to stop trying to push Jeff Jarrett with everything. Just saying. I mean, people like him, but I think they need to slow it down with him and let other people get some. I mean, he had his he had his time for the past 100 years. I mean, he's had his time. You know? Going around hit people with his guitar, doing his little strut. Anyway. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I think the highlight for me, yeah, like I said, the Iron Man match, it really surprised me. I didn't mind it. The match I didn't care for, like I said, was the Moxley match, but only because I hate John Moxley. But I did like the way Adam Page won, because like I was like, oh wow, he's actually hating him. I've heard about this, but I've never seen it, you know? So, I thought that was kind of cool. He lived up to his name. So there was a fun pay-per-view, and I look forward to the next one. Wait, next one is Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah, we'll be having Ring of Honor end of this month. So we'll be back for another episode in a week or so. Whatever, the week before it. Oh, God, this is crazy because that pay-per-view is going to be on a fucking Friday. Why? Why in a fucking
that's
Friday?
It. That was that's it. For this previous pay-per-view, that's something that bugged me, was the fact that it was on a Sunday, and then you have to go to work the next day. I mean, I was like tired the entire day. I crashed when I got home from work. It was a terrible time.
Because the problem is, I don't know. We might have to skip the predictions maybe and just review it, because the thing is, they always take so fucking long to announce their matches. If we do it like the same week, they probably wouldn't not announce, all of them yet. If we do the episode on Thursday, since I still got to work Friday, there ain't no way I'm going to be able to edit the video because I'm still working. I can't. I have no time to edit the video unless I'm up till like 3, 4 in the morning and then be like dead at my job the next day or whatever.
But God probably curse somebody out because you're cranky because someone couldn't figure something out.
Yeah, thank you for calling so-and-so. I barely slept an hour. Go fuck yourself. Like, I don't know.
Oh, dude, at least I called him a dumbass. You said all of that.
If it makes a difference, I'm gonna not be able to see it because I'm gonna be at WrestleCon all weekend that weekend. So
yeah. So
at least you're going to be somewhere.
So I'm thinking for that one, maybe we'll skip the predictions and just do the episode of, Saturday, the day after or something. Because I don't know. Well, maybe it's like Jack said, it's the whole WrestleMania weekend thing. Maybe that's why it's on a Friday or something.
That is. That's exactly why, because they couldn't get any other venues. So they had to make do with what they had on a Friday.
WrestleMania that weekend or something? Or
yeah, it's literally WrestleMania is April 1st and April 2nd. So that's why WrestleCon is on WrestleCon is Ring of Honor and all these other shows are on the 30th. And then so it's the day before WrestleMania. Plus, on top of that, before WrestleMania is also the Hall of Fame. Remember, they got all that crap.
Yeah, the one that only exists in Vince's head because there's no actual literal Hall of Fame.
I really wish they would make an actual venue for that. They really should, and then maybe
buy a building, make people pay admission. Boom, do it.
Yeah, they'll make some cash there.
That's something that Tony Khan should jump on. Make a legit, obviously a couple of years down the line is too soon now, but give it a decade or so. Make an AEW Hall of Fame or give it some other kind of name so businesses go, we have a Hall of Fame, we're the only ones. Give it some other name, like the Hall of Excellence. AEW's Hall of Excellence or some shit like that.
So how about just a wrestling Hall of Fame? Just an actual legit wrestling Hall of Fame. And here's the other thing I was going to bring up, and it has nothing to do with the pay-per-view, but just in a general sense is something I've hated forever. I hate the unoriginality of refs getting distracted. Sometimes it works, but I say about 98% of the time, it's just stupid. I hate it so damn much.
That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons I love I love New Japan. They actually their main referee. His name is Red Shoes Uno. He is one of the most crackdown, I don't give a fuck kind of guys. Like literally, if he thinks anyone is hit a person outside of the ring and they roll him in the ring, he refuses to count. Yeah. And then like he'll literally, like if like two people get knocked out, he'll be like, like he's the most like real reactions as a ref. He's just like, he's like, you give up? Do you? Give up? Come on, do it. Do it. Okay. Like he's like that. He's like gets in your face, like do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is one
Yeah,
thing I
those
did
are my
notice
thoughts,
during
man.
this pay-per-view. The referees were getting a bit more aggressive in this one than they were normally. Like
Aubrey.
somebody pushed Aubrey, and Aubrey just
I think it was Jeff
Push-
Jarrett. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
was
it
ready
was.
for I was ready for her to just put a rainmaker on him because she was just right
I
back
mean-
in his face. Like he pushed her a little bit, she just wailed him back into the turnbuckle.
The way she pushed him, it almost looked like she was gonna do like a spear, man. The only missing was just for her feet to leave the ground. She like went all in on that.
Yeah, that would have been funny if like she would have speared her and then she would have speared Jarrett and all of a sudden you would have heard like Edge's theme song go off in the back. That would have been hilarious.
Honestly, Audrey gets a real big like everyone loves her. If she speared anyone, like that would have been like the pop of the night. That would have been forget whatever Hangman did or MJF did. That would have been like the thing on the thumbnail. Fucking Audrey Airborne spearing Jeff Jarrett out of nowhere.
So what did you think, Johnny?
I think the pay-per-view was pretty good. There were a few matches that were kind of, just there. The last match, the outcome of it, more like the outcome, it's just kind of like not too crazy about that one. Other than that, the pay-per-view was still pretty good overall. Still a very decent, a good pay-per-view that we've seen in a while. Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of that one? Should we like not do the predictions due to the whacked out schedule and just do our podcast like after the Ring of Honor Super Card of Honor thing? I guess the next, because that's the thing. It was WrestleMania weekend. Obviously, I mean, I just don't care anymore. But I'm sure most of you guys are going to be watching WrestleMania, and of course, Jeff will be there live at the event.
Wait,
There's
who
a
was the
couple
main
things
event
I'm
this year?
It's Cody Rhodes versus Roman. It's actually good. I think it's actually gonna be a good match.
Oh, that whole bloodline storyline thing, right?
Yeah, no, like that's a whole other thing. No, I actually think they're building it up really well. Like they actually made reference to like a couple references to like AEW building up to this promo.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, but like I said, I liked what I liked about the pay-per-view overall. I think it had a lot of decent matches. I think it had a good consistent flow to it. There was a couple of hiccups and things that I would have changed. Like I said, I put the tag team match first. I'd have put the tag team match first. This is how I would have lined it up. Tag team match first. And then like, pretty much the rest of the show, okay. But then I would take the women's match, put that after the Moxley match, then put then the main event. So it'd be like a palate cleanser. And it also would give more credibility towards the women's title than, because it's going on before the men's title. So it also like do it that way, That's what I would have done. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But honestly, as far as the show as a whole, it was one of AEW's better pay-per-views. I think it was a solid pay-per-view. There was a couple minor issues, but it wasn't like I enjoyed watching it. which is really all I want. I just want to be entertained. I just want to enjoy it. I don't want it to be garbage. And it wasn't. And I enjoyed it. I think it was a good show. And overall, yeah, it's one of their better ones. But I think going on what you were saying, I think what we should do for the follow-up, I think we should kind of take for WrestleMania weekend, since let's be honest, everyone's going to be doing stuff that weekend for WrestleMania weekend, that upcoming thing. I think you should do like a couple days after. So like let's meet up the following weekend after WrestleMania, after all that stuff. That way it would give us all enough time for us to catch up on all the stuff and then, you know, fill in the gaps for everything.
Now my question is, do y'all want to review that Joshi show though? Because it's on Fight TV, and I'll be willing to get that. I'm just kind of worried about between watching Ring of Honor and the Joshi show. You know, don't get them mixed up, especially Mr. Johnny Rodriguez here that likes to forget matches and stuff. To see,
well, I legitimately would recommend. Okay, so far they've only announced 3 matches. But I would actually recommend you guys probably checking out that Impact New Japan pay-per-view, because they only have 3 matches announced. But here's who they have. They have Speedball Mike Bailey versus Will Ospreay. So it's literally 2 quick high flyers against each other. They have, they're going to have, God, who is it? They're going to have Moose versus Jeff Cobb. So that's 2 powerhouses versus each other. And then the main event match. Yeah. And the main event is Kushida versus Josh Alexander. So I'm like, it's literally technical versus technical, high flyer versus high flyer. You know, and it's gonna be a great match. I'm really a great show.
That one's also gonna be on Fight TV or something, or
I think they're doing like a bundle deal for WrestleCon, because all of those shows are gonna be WrestleCon weekend. So like where the WrestleCon is, it's at the Millennial Biltmore Hotel. That's what it's called. The Millennial Biltmore Hotel in Hollywood, California, and then around the corner is the Hollywood Bowl. I think that's where they're doing all these shows.
Wow.
So I think they're doing like I know Fight TV sometimes they do like combo pay-per-views. I think it's one of those.
Yeah, I remember some of those. I just never. I mean, I might check it out this time. It's just it's gonna be so much wrestling. Let's see, we could review it all, or some we could just. I mean. We could do a thing like Ring of Honor, like what we do at the show. We could maybe review the main, whatever we're talking about, and just give a casual mention so we're not all forced to memorize fucking 20, 30, 50 matches and give all our thoughts. But, you know. Right. But, you know, I always do like the women wrestling. I do want to kind of review the Joshi one. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. And like I said, now that Mercedes Moné is the IWGP Women's Champion, she's also going to be, now they're going to be, New Japan is going to be bringing in their own women's division together. And I'm assuming it's going to clash with Stardom. So that'll be pretty cool. So it's building up slowly, their women's division. So I'm curious to see who's going to eventually join the New Japan Women's division. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that.
I do want to see this real quick. There we go. Let me see here. Because the familiar, obviously, you probably know a lot more of them than I do. But the familiar faces, I mean, obviously, we all know, what's her name? Yuka Sakazaki is going to be there. Maki Ito is going to be there. Miyu Yamashita, who's had a couple of matches in AEW. I think she had some of them in Dark. That's a familiar face, too. And like I said, Billy Starks is going to... Oh, Maxton Paler is going to be there, too. That's fucking awesome. Sweet. You know that me and William, we're big Max fans and everything of the Non-Berry Nightmare. So that's fucking awesome. So I can't wait to see those kind of matches. So I'm looking very forward to the Joshi one. Definitely that one. But yeah, I've seen it in... You know, I never bought it, but I've seen it in other years that they have those little package deals. And you also got like interviews and podcasts and all that stuff. Buy all these shows for a certain price during WrestleCon weekend and stuff like that. So I might do that. I might get those. So if they have both the Impact that you're talking about, the New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Impact, and the Joshi as a 2-for-1 thing, I might get that. Yeah,
it's called New Japan. Yeah, I think it's called New Japan Impact Multiverse United. That's what it's called.
Oh my god!
So it's like
I don't not long enough already.
No. No, you just see the logos. So you just see the logo, and then the logo. It says Multiverse United is the name of the paper.
Oh,
But you see the logos, and then an X, and then Multiverse United. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that, because it's also like, and I'm also trying to keep up with Stardom too.
oh,
I was starting to
is it
sound
called like Only the Strong Survive?
No, that's a different.
Oh,
thing.
because I see, yeah, it's March 30th. Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Multiverse United. Only the Strong
Yep.
Survive.
Yeah, I guess that is.
Yeah, that
okay,
sounds like the
I
name
guess.
of either a really bad anime or a really good Capcom fighting game. One out of the two. Just saying.
I could see the announcer for like a Marvel vs. Capcom like 4 being like, only the strong survive.
Well, like you said, yeah, Josh Alexander versus Kushida for the title. But apparently other people that are going to be in there are going to be Trey Miguel, Bullet Club, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. The Knockouts, well, I guess they didn't announce any actual knockouts. Is it the Knockouts will be there, you know? Minoru Suzuki's going to be there.
Yep, Suzuki's going to be there. Kenta's going to be there.
Yeah. Oh, one last
Kenta's
thing I
also
want
the
to
New
say,
Japan-
there was a jobber type match that I think it was it Jericho? I think it was Jericho that had the match. Wendy, this last episode of Dynamite, and the opponent was literally named Ben Dejo.
Yeah, I was like, hey, pendejo, how you doing?
I know, like what the fuck? And it was like not only was his name Ben Dejo, Jericho or whoever it was, I forgot who it was, but whoever it was beat him in like 2 minutes and some shit, and that's it. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's to break.
Are you here? But why are you here? You didn't get to show off any skills. Why do they have a dark match on Dynamite? That's how I felt.
Well, what's funny is this is a little bit of a side, but in New Japan, there's a wrestler named El Desperado, and he's from Japan, but he's trained in Mexico. So he's like a lucha libre, and he his finisher is called the Pinche Loco. The Pinche Loco. But when Kevin Kelly says it, he's got him up for the Pinche Loco. I'm like, no, damn it. It's not Pinche Loco, damn it. Say it right. And then like there's another guy who's his name, he's this British guy. I fucking hate him. But he's the other guy for the New Japan English commentary.
Mm-hmm.
For the life of me, the motherfucker cannot say Okada's full name. His name is Kazuchika Okada. It's very easy. Kazuchika Okada. He calls him Kazuchika Okada. I'm like, no. Kazuchika. It's not Kazuchika, not Kazuchika. I'm like, no. He's not a Pokemon. It's Kazuchika.
Kazuchika.
The one thing I also like. One thing I also like is that was the best.
Wait, hold on. What was the name again? Make sure I got it right.
Kazuchika Okada.
Okay, and they say Kazuchika.
Yeah, he calls him Kazuchika Okada. It's like, no.
Kazuchika.
I remember.
Kazuchika Geto does it.
I was looking up matches for Maddie Rankowski, and I don't know if she still is the champ of that organization or not, but she was actually the Puro Pinche Wrestling women's champ for a while. And that just cracked up. Those Puro Pinche Wrestling. Like, what the fuck, yo?
Well, Will, I think you were knocked out earlier. What do you think of my theory of the person that will dethrone Jade being most likely Thunder Rosa?
Yeah. Actually,
makes sense.
How is she going along with her injury, though? I know they put her on commentary, I think, because she's still.
Well, I don't know, but I'm gonna meet her at WrestleCon.
Okay.
So I will literally let you know. If I see her in a back brace like this, I'm like, yeah, it ain't happening. But if she's gonna be like, "Hi guys," and then we do backflips, I'm like, "You fucking faker." Like,
she comes walking in like she's got a coat hanger still in her shirt. We know what's up. So
it'd be like John Moxley with the eye patch winking in the crowd. That one Japanese.
Well, that was what was so funny is like he had the eye patch, and then in New Japan, he took it off. He got it punched off, and then he just acted like nothing happened. So then a week later, he did the. I'm like, oh, you fucking faker.
commentary, but she's doing the Spanish commentary for AEW and Espanol.
Oh,
That's
is
what-
she? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, her
she's just around. She's just hanging around. Okay.
Yeah.
She's pulling a Macho Man in the mid '90s.
Yeah.
I could
So
still
anyways,
go,
guys-
but they won't let me.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, I think that's pretty much it for now before we go on for another hour and everything. So remember, guys, any episode that we have either Rikki Roxx or Jackknives in it, it's, get yourself some coffee. We're going to be here for a while.
Hey,
But,
Do I have to make that
it's
coffee?
entertaining, though. It's entertaining. We always appreciate
Do I have to make that coffee? That's the question. Do I have to prepare this coffee?
Yeah,
first?
remember, make that coffee good.
Oh, I just got word from Telly Schiavone. We got to go on for 15 more minutes.
Oh, God.
at least I'm
I
not.
got
At
my
least,
oxygen
As
tank
long
right
as you have
here.
some oxygen. You got
At
your
least
air.
I'm
You got
not
your air, right?
at least I'm not Excalibur having to explain everything in 15 seconds. And then we're gonna go with the big review, and we're gonna
Oh. But anyways, guys, we'll see y'all next time. And yeah, like we said, due to the bizarre schedule and no time, because I mean, hey, if the podcast was like, if people were like actually, like the whole YouTube thing monetized and all that shit, yeah, I would probably call off work that day to just edit the video. But since we're doing it all for fun and for free, basically speaking, yeah, I ain't calling off for
Give us money.
for editing and stuff like that. So we'll skip the predictions for Ring of Honor, but we will review it, like you said, the following weekend once all the WrestleMania shit is over. And if you guys are in the mood, we'll also review the Joshi one in a separate episode, and maybe possibly the Impact, or do a double episode of both. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what's included. As long as you guys aren't like all wrestled out, See you next time, guys. So, the Diving Cutter Wrestling Podcast, America's #1 cure for insomnia. We'll see you next time. This is Mark Rodriguez signing off.
In Japan in 1980, I am out of here.
I'm Wendy McBride, also known as Jupi-chan or Ninja Jupi, whatever. Dewa mata. Johnny, oh Johnny.
Yes, see you next time.
And I'm Jack Knives, back again, being the king.
Yahoo!
There you
Thank
go.
you for coming.
All right, guys. Super last minute edition here. We forgot to announce the winners the winner of this thing where we always predict the matches, see who won. So in the end, hey, I won. Hey, So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nah.
Yeah, I got 6 points. Everyone else got 5 points because we were just so close. Everyone either went for the same person or in that one match with the Guns. I went for like Jeff Jarrett. Everyone else went for Danhausen. Both sides lost. So hey, in the end I won. I finally won one because I believe it's usually, I don't know, it's either William or Johnny or it's a tie or some shit. I never actually won like an actual one.
I
So
have before.
yeah, I think you've also won. I'm sure Jack won some once or twice because you're always
No,
very good
I
at
don't-
predicting.
I think I won it once.
There you go. Oh, and I remember one time we sent you that delightful shirt with Vicky Guerrero and
Yeah, you
And I
remember,
love
yeah.
all right. So anyways, guys, heading off there. We didn't want you guys like being up all night like, but who won? Who won the vote? Whatever. So now you all know. See you next time.
Adios, guys.